I thank my colleague from Pennsylvania, and while you are commending me, I want to commend you. You have taken this issue, which affects not huge numbers of people, but is really important to a great many citizens. And from the time I first got acquainted with this issue, and you have heard me tell the story before about Bob Farmer, a person who was a young Navy man when he was over at Eniwetok. They had the test immediately. They just crouched down behind a vehicle, and he said he noticed when the explosion went off, he could see the bones in his hands, and his buddies, they were in skeleton form there. He could see that. And then right after the test, they went over and washed down the ships, played in the sand, played on the beach that just had been a place where the test had taken place, no one warning them that there might be some radiation exposure. And now he and his wife, and they have a marvelous family, 9 children, 8 of the children born apparently without any kind of problem at all. One had an abnormality. But now all 9 children have had some kind of defect that has become apparent, either a lung that has been impaired or something else, some kind of genetic problem. Neither Bob Farmer nor his wife have ever had any history in their family of any kind of genetic problems. And it seems fairly clear that not only is Bob Farmer's personal physical condition, which the VA refuses to recognize as having any responsibility for, but the condition of his children is related to that exposure. The reluctance of the VA to admit any responsibility on both the Agent Orange and on this nuclear exposure is understandable from a fiscal point of view. I suppose from a fiscal point of view, you could close all the VA hospitals, stop all the pensions, do all kinds of other things. But the function of the Veterans Administration has been to meet a rightful responsibility this nation has to our veterans. And we ought to be doing that for the Bob Farmers of this world. And I simply want to commend you for your leadership, and as well as our colleague from South Dakota, Tom Daschle, and new member of the committee from Georgia, who's a physician who's taken an interest in this, Ray Rowland, and the chairman of the full committee, Sonny Montgomery. All of them have shown an interest in this, but your leadership has been particularly significant, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your kind comments, and would just simply add to your comments that the effort that culminated in the passage of the bill yesterday, and hopefully will culminate in a piece of legislation being placed on the President's desk, was an effort that was bipartisan, was brought together by a number of people who made contribution, and your contribution to specifically the issue of Agent Orange and atomic veterans will be remembered. You spent a lot of time not only telling us of Bob Farmer's plight, but also helping us to recognize that the VA and OMB and administrations in the past, both Democratic and Republican, have not been very aggressive in their willingness to be advocates on behalf of these veterans who have particularly serious illness that they believe strongly to be related to their service to their country. And I believe that we're moving in the right direction, and while we could do more, we're at least making a strong statement today that those exposed to the defoliant dioxin in Vietnam and those who were exposed to atmospheric testing of nuclear weapons surely should be compensated for those diseases which they are now experiencing. Thank the gentleman for his comments.